What did it mean to me to join the MCU? What did it mean to me to join the MCU? Holy smokes. It's a huge surprise. There's dreams you have as a child. You just want to be an actor. Really want to tell stories, but I never imagined that it would be at this level with these people at this time. The MCU has evolved. And so to come at it at this point in my career, where they are in their trajectory, is just it's mind blowing, life changing, extremely humbling, and quite exciting.
What would you say is the key to a good villain in the MCU?
What would I say is the key to a good villain in the MCU? Hmm. Well, you have to have a nice voice. You need a good costume. Well, ultimately, you need to really understand what that character is going after and be willing to. The thing I think that separates a villain from a hero is the rules that person, the discomfort that person is willing to experience, and is be quite comfortable with isolation. Um, what else? You gotta let it all hang out as a villain. You gotta be willing to do that and take it there. Uh, yeah.
We've seen you before as He Who Remains and now appearing as Kang. Can you explain how they are variants of the character?
So you guys saw me as He Who Remains, and now very soon, or if not already, you will see me as Kang. How are these characters different, and how are they the same? Well, first I'll say how they're different, and how are they variants of each other. Uh, they both have the what I call, this is not in the comic books, uh, the Kang gene, right? They have this Kang gene, and the Kang gene is this little bitty element that's inside each Kang that makes them. It's like the little chip that's in them, and they all have the same chip, though they have different operating systems. They also have different software, but they have the same chip. This is getting crazy, uh, but that's how I'm working right now. He Who Remains is a bit more outwardly intellectual. He lives in that world a bit more. Um, he's also physical. Kang is, by definition of his name, a conqueror. So he's extremely physically active. He's making change in his current space, in his current world. Though he's also has a very hyper intelligence. That's overall with Kangs. Kangs are have hyper intelligence. That's in the comic books. Um, how else are they different? Well, one wears flip flops and one wears combat boots. I can go on forever. Next question.
What makes Kang the MCU's new and extremely formidable villain?
What makes Kang the MCU's new and extremely formidable supervillain? Um, One, this is a supervillain that is first and foremost flesh and blood. That is spooky because you can relate to him. The other thing is he's seen everything. He knows everything, and it is that amount of time and his relationship to time that makes him that cunning, which gives him that much uh, uh, uncomfortability for the things he's seen, and he has opinions on it. And he has feelings about that. Imagine having feelings about not just your life, but hundreds of thousands of millions of infinite lives. All of that emotion, all of those thoughts, all those dreams and nightmares, all in one individual. That person is extremely dangerous and is not to be reckoned with.
How do you prepare to shoot a scene, and what role does music play in your prep?
How do I prepare to shoot a scene? Well, welcome to the actor studio. No, no, no. How do I do that? My process is probably it's not dissimilar from any other actor's process, but I have my own way, I guess. My approach. I believe that I want to do as little acting as possible, and so I try to keep the character as close to me as possible, if not, um, stay inside the character as much as I can, and only kind of pop out, as Jonathan when needs be. Doing that respectively of my crew and my fellow castmates. The one thing they may not like is that I do not compromise on playing music. I play my music in the trailer when I wake up in the morning, on game days, I guess on shoot days. And the music is just like a bell, and it just lets me know where we're going that day. It speaks to my instrument, it speaks to the scene, it gives the set a certain energy, and I do that. It's something that me and my theater company would do. I kept it going as I transitioned into film and television, and yeah, it rings a bell. Lets everybody know this is where we're at. And I might be wrong sometimes, and I'll change the song, or if it's getting real serious, I'll turn it off. But uh, we always have the headphones. You gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah.
What has Kang done with his inhabitants in the quantum realm?
What has Kang done with its inhabitants? His inhabitants. What has Kang done with the inhabitants of the quantum realm, where I dwell? Well, spoiler alert, they've been conquered.
Well, Hope has changed tremendously since the first film. Like, I feel sometimes like I get whiplash trying to keep up with how quickly her life changes and evolves. When we first met her in the first Ant-Man film, she was a corporate woman who was completely dedicated to her work, had no intimate relationships to be spoken of in her life, was estranged from her father, was had believed her mother was dead, and was in no romantic relationship. Cut to like 4 or 5 hours of cinema later, 2 films later, at the beginning of Quantumania, she has repaired her relationship with her father. She has recovered her mother from the quantum realm. She has fallen in love with Scott Lang, and now she's stepmomming little Cassie Lang, who's a young woman. And her life is just totally transformed. Her life is full of love. It's full of intimacy and connection and vulnerability, and all of that peace and contentment that comes from that is just pouring out into her work, which she has now dedicated her company, PIM Technologies, to solving the largest problems of the world, like global warming or the housing crisis. So she is a renewed woman. She is a very different person than when I first started playing her. Well, I'm not easily impressed in real life, and neither is Hope. I am a little bit cynical, and so is Hope. But I'm very soft on the inside, despite having a somewhat harder exterior, like a tough, not hard, but a tougher exterior. And I think that what was fun and surprising to play with Hope was to reveal to the audience that inside there's this really tender, loving, caring woman. So, I think we share those qualities. I don't know all of the ways that Hope is using the PIM technology for humanitarian efforts, but I do know that one of the things that we talked about when conceiving these and sort of trying to establish who she is now and what she's up to was that she was creating tiny little communities so that we could deal with both the housing crisis and global warming. Because if our homes take up less land, if our homes take up less energy, if people take up less land and energy, then ultimately there's more to go around. One blackberry could feed an entire community for breakfast, and so that's one of the ways that I know that Hope has been using PIM Tech to try to make the world a better place. Well, I think when Hope lost her mommy when she was 8 years old, she harbored all of these fantasies that Mom was coming back and what that would be like for her. And I think she really believed that there would be this idealistic, perfect reunion where they would become best friends and they would tell each other everything. And, when she went through her teen life, I'm sure there were still fantasies of like, oh, if I had a boyfriend, I could talk to my mom about it. But I just have this crazy old man who likes ants to talk to about it. And so she harbored idealistic ideas. And then when Janet actually came back, she had severe PTSD from the quantum realm and all of the things she experienced there. And she doesn't feel that she can share that with her family. And so Hope is feeling really shut out by her mom. Janet is keeping secrets from them all. And it's really painful for Hope. And the way Hope deals with her pain is she is notorious for just being pissed. She just gets mad because she's not very good with dealing with her pain. So she's really angry. She's angry, and she feels really, really disappointed that this reunion with Janet isn't all the things she hoped it would be. Well, harking back to what I was talking about with Janet and Hope, in this disappointment that she doesn't have the intimacy that she hoped to have with her mother, she doesn't have the friendship that she hoped to have where Janet trusts her with her stories and with her life and with her secrets. I think there's a translation to how Hope relates to Cassie, and she doesn't keep anything from Cassie. She didn't change her diapers. She didn't, wipe snot from her nose. She doesn't have that kind of relationship with Cassie. She just sees this brilliant, capable, really cool young woman who she sees no reason to not trust her and not believe in her capabilities. And so she really treats her as an equal and treats her very much as an adult. And I think she's somewhat baffled by the fact that Scott doesn't, and that Scott can't seem to see Cassie as the incredible young woman or the capable young woman that she has become. And I do think that there's some level of knee-jerk reaction to the disappointment she feels in her relationship with Janet, and be like, I'm not going to do that to Cassie. I'm going to make it different for her. So the Pym, Lang, Van Dyne family end up in the quantum realm because Hank and Hope have been toying with new quantum technology with Cassie. Cassie has grown up in this incredible family of scientists. She's very curious. She's been doing her own experimentation, and Hank and Hope have really encouraged it. They've seen no reason not to. And unfortunately, she's created a Hubble telescope type two-way radio with the quantum realm, and she turns it on in Hank's lab in the basement. And when she does so, Janet freaks out, knowing that that's a very bad idea because there's something down there we don't all know about. And she rips it out of the wall and eliminates the connection to the quantum realm. But nonetheless, some other energy force comes back through this two-way radio and enters the room and starts sucking the entire room, including the family, down into the quantum realm with it. I think the signature of an Ant-Man film is, first of all, family first. It's all about family dynamics and family stories. It's also about humor and lightness and sweetness. And in a big, sweeping, epic Marvel tale like the one that we're telling, with very, very high stakes and a very formidable bad guy, a very formidable villain, somehow Peyton still managed to hang on to the film being essentially about family, being essentially sweet and always funny. I would describe the quantum realm as the opening of new possibilities. So we have the multiverse already. And essentially, there is no distinction between the difference between a universe that is out there versus a universe that is in here or in there or around us. So there's just this infinitude of possibility that if you go into the quantum realm, any which direction, and direction doesn't exist really in that space, but in our concepts, in any which direction, in any which way, you can encounter something never before conceived of. It could be a void, it could be a vacuum, it could be a dense space that is completely claustrophobic that life can't exist in. It could be literally anything. So once you open up one space, which is in the quantum realm, you've opened up every possibility for the Marvel Cinematic Universe to go wherever they want, whenever they want, however they want.
To join the MCU was the biggest dream come true. I've been dreaming about being a Marvel superhero since I saw Iron Man when I was 8 years old with my dad in the movie theater, and I said that I wanted to be the biggest Marvel superhero of all time, which is very ironic because my dream came true. Cassie Lang is the biggest superhero. She's 40 feet tall. So dream big. Don't give up on your dreams. I mean, I told myself by the time I was 25, if I'm not a Marvel superhero, then like I'm not an actress and I should quit. So I just think that it's proof that dreams come true, and I can't believe it. So now I have to come up with a new dream.
Why do you think the Ant-Man movies resonate with audiences around the world?
I think Ant-Man movies resonate with audiences around the world because Ant-Man is the everyman, and I think that he's super relatable because he's just like me. He's just normal, and that's what I related to most about Cassie Lang and why I was so excited for the opportunity to bring this character to life. She's a dork, she's a mess, she's impatient, but the biggest thing is she has a really huge heart, and I know that that's a beautiful thing, but it really gets her into a lot of trouble because she doesn't understand what it means to be a hero yet. But she wants to make her dad proud, so she's going to do whatever it takes to do it.
Cassie is all grown up. How would you describe your character?
I would describe Cassie Lang. She is all grown up. Cassie Lang is all grown up, and I'd describe her as impatient, open-hearted, and ambitious. She's seriously ambitious. She's got a mind of her own now. It's been a while since we've seen her, and she's been through a lot. You know, her dad's been gone, and she had to make a choice, and she chose to look out for the little guy. She was a hero in her own way, even without the super suit. I think that she just fights the good fight, and you can feel that. And in this movie, I hope that audiences feel how much we wanted to show that her heart is huge. And just kind of like what a mess she is, you know? She's tripping over herself and kind of a klutz, just like me, kind of a dork. But I think it makes for an interesting character because no one just wakes up a superhero. I mean, maybe some do, but Cassie Lang definitely doesn't just wake up and know how to save the world.
Describe Cassie's relationship with her dad, Scott, now that she's grown up.
I think Cassie's relationship with her dad, Scott, is kind of like tumultuous at first. You know, she is who she is. She knows who she is, and he doesn't know who she is anymore. He's got to be reintroduced to Cassie and who she's becoming. She's got ideas of her own, and he's got to kind of listen. In this movie, the heart of the story is a father and a daughter reconnecting. I like to jokingly say it's like a road trip movie, father-daughter trip through the quantum realm, and you know, they're learning about themselves all over again. They're making up for lost time, and I can really relate to that, and I think a lot of people can relate to reconnecting and making up for lost time. You know, if you get a chance to hang out with your parents, she's kind of lucky that she gets to hang out with her dad, even though she kind of unlocked the biggest supervillain of all time and everything is her fault. She gets to reconnect with her dad, so that's the plus side of making a huge mistake.
How did you and Paul Rudd find that father-daughter dynamic?
Finding the father-daughter dynamic with Paul Rudd was the easiest thing ever. He's the best actor ever. He's so funny. I'm so lucky because I always dreamed of being in the Marvel movies, and I got to be in a movie with Paul Rudd, someone I'm a huge fan of, and you know, he just believed in me. He trusted me, and he told me not to hold back and to take risks and to try that joke and not be afraid to fail, which is the most beautiful thing because he didn't have to do that. This is his franchise, it's his movie. He could have just come to work every day and like said bye, but he encouraged me to try, which I think is very Ant-Man. It's very superhero. He was definitely my hero on this movie, and without him, I wouldn't have been able to take as many risks. That trust let me fly.
What is Cassie's relationship with Hope like, and how do you and Evangeline Lilly bring that to life?
Cassie's relationship with Hope is kind of like great. I think that Hope really supports Cassie. She believes in Cassie and kind of wants her to just jump. I think Ant-Man is the opposite of that. He wants to keep Cassie safe. He doesn't want her to take risks. He wants to protect her at all costs. And you can feel that in the movie, and it causes like a tension between Hope and Ant-Man and Cassie. But Hope's got Cassie's back, and I think it just is empowering. It's, you know, women helping women. It's a family kind of love and support, and I'm excited to see audiences feel that.
How do Hope, Scott, Janet, Hank, and Cassie end up in the quantum realm, and what is their plan once there?
Hope, Janet, Scott, Cassie, and Hank end up in the quantum realm all because of Cassie. It's her fault. She doesn't know what she's doing. She unlocks some portal thing to the quantum realm. Thinks she's doing the right thing. Once again, good intention, not well thought out. Doesn't that sound relatable? Doesn't that sound like something you do on a daily basis? Because I do. I say things without thinking, just like I'm doing right now. I spoil parts of Marvel movies, just like Tom Holland. So it's all Cassie's fault. And it was a really big deal on set. It was like, we shot that scene for like a week, right? And on the first day, there was rewrites happening and all this stuff happening, and Peyton and I looked at each other and we're like, wait a minute. We need to make it really clear this is Cassie's fault. This was her idea. So that way when, we get to the latter half of the movie and there's this tragedy and these bad things are happening and people are getting hurt, she feels the weight of what it actually means to be a hero. It's not always good. You don't always get the glory. You hurt people. So she's got to feel that. She learns the hard way. I mean, it's kind of like not fair, really, that she goes face to face with Kang on her first rodeo. I guess you got to learn one day.
How would you describe the quantum realm and its potential impact on the MCU moving forward?
I think the quantum realm is limitless, and the impact it's going to have on the MCU is unparalleled because I don't even know what's in there. But in this movie, you get to meet some really cool characters that are kind of cute, and that's my favorite part.
Michelle, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Why do you think the Ant-Man movies resonate with audiences around the world?
Well, I think they not only are they, they have a lot of action and adventure and fantasy, but there's also there's so much heart. And I think that's sort of, and the humor involved, and it's really smart. I think, and in some ways, Ant-Man feels like a genre all its own. It feels different than other superhero movies. So I think it's new and it's fresh and it's unexpected. The characters are really based in reality, but they're set in this fantasy world. And it sort of probably just taps into everyone's desire to be a superhero. Yeah.
When Janet returns from the quantum realm after 30 years, what is she like, and how does that impact her relationship with her daughter, Hope?
Well, Janet has been down in the quantum realm for 30 years, and I think at a certain point really had doubts that she would ever leave the quantum realm. And I think when she is reunited with her husband Hank and her daughter Hope, it's just like a dream come true, and I think she's just relishing, and savoring every moment with them. And yet, she's decided to really keep a lot of the details of what went down there. In fact, mostly everything that went down there a secret. Some of it out of shame, some of it out of a desire and a need to protect her family. And then when they find themselves all together down in this parallel universe, she is really forced to not only try to keep her family alive, but to tell the truth about things, and in a place where she never, ever had hoped to see again.
Michael, describe the relationship between Janet and Hank, and how does that carry over to the quantum realm?
Well, I guess you have to break up the relationship with Janet and Hank into different sections. There was the sections from the first Ant-Man when they were both a team working together and fighting the evils of the world, and were married, at the same time partners in crime and working together. And then you have a 30-year separation, which we don't know without having any contact between each other as to what actually went down. And then this time now, when they're back together again, and although Quantumania doesn't really get into much of the relationship about how they're getting along or how they're getting before this incident happens, it takes us on this journey back into the quantum realm. You can get a sense that they are equals. This is a woman, my wife, who suffers no idiots. Very bright. I think we have a kind of a professional relationship, mutual respect, but like to kind of give everybody a little bit of the little zeist once in a while, just a little bit of an edge to keep it all going. And who knows? I think that this whole experience of being down there has brought them, with all the years of absence, has brought them closer together than they'd ever had been before.
Michelle, describe how you and Michael were able to bring that special relationship to life.
How were we able to bring it to life? Acting.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do. Is we sort of work together to develop this relationship and bring reality to it. I bring my life, of being married to my husband for 30 years, and Michael brings, his experience, and and then, it helps. We like each other, I think we have, we both have been around a long time, and I don't find our approach to acting different, and sometimes people can have such a very different approaches to acting. It can maybe sort of get in the way of each other, but no, it was fun.
Michael, describe the relationship between Hank and Cassie.
Reminds him probably pretty much of his relationship with his daughter, Evangeline. Feisty, independent, always trying to show what she's capable of doing more than I anticipate or expect. Always ahead of the curve. Probably Hope was like that. Highly, highly ambitious. Very smart mind, but trying to keep some kind of control over the whole situation, and not really knowing whether you can or not, whether you have that power. Deeply fond of her. Wonderful to want to see the way she's going to turn out. Just not expecting her to move as quickly as she does.
How do Hope, Scott, Janet, Hank, and Cassie end up in the quantum realm, and what is their plan once there?
Well, they were all doing a little experimenting behind my back. That's how we all ended up in the quantum realm. And Janet is not happy about it, but doesn't really have time to deal with that, because once they do end up in the quantum realm, it's about survival. And it's about Janet using her knowledge, her skills, her relationships, to try to keep them safe and get them out of there as quickly as she can.
Michael, what does Janet's family and the audience learn about her as she navigates the quantum realm?
Our family, when you say Janet's family, our family is reminded after their absence of just how qualified she is and how good she is. and how she likes to lead. And although she was not responsible for putting us in this dire situation, she's instrumental in getting us out. So I think that she has a great ability to take on leadership, and because she has also the responsibility of knowing the quantum realm better than anybody else, she can't really share or have a chance to share the burden. So it's a tremendous burden that she carries the mantle very well as reevaluating some of her previous relationships down there in the quantum realm.
How would you describe the quantum realm and its potential impact on the MCU moving forward?
I don't know. I think, well, hopefully they'll be able to use this set over and over again. It seems to be where everybody's heading, down here to the quantum realm. They did a brilliant job. I mean, Peyton Reed, our director, and the production design team and everything else created really a spectacular world in this quantum realm, using all sorts of imagery. We were speaking to Peyton earlier in terms of the use of electron microscopes and developing. It's a very psychedelic world in a lot of areas, in a lot of places, and it seems it's not so much what the world is, but what people bring to that world. We get some sense that there's some mining going on to some degree, although we don't exactly know what it is being mined down there. But I'm sure that'll come up in some other Marvel films in the future. But it really is a place that lets whoever comes down there bring their influence and power. And I think it'll be a strong standing point in this sort of phase 5, which I guess Quantumania is the beginning of it, involving Kang and the quantum realm. So it'll be exciting to see what the future holds.